What's going on, YouTube? Single Digits with an initial reaction and final thoughts on the Diablo 4 beta. This is the round 2 that is just coming to a close. This was the open beta for anybody to download and play. No pre-ordering necessary for this. So this was like the bigger weekend event of the stress tests and how much the server can hold and all that stuff. So I'll go through pretty quickly just the classes and everything. I'm not going to make this super long. We have a couple months now until the full release on June 6th. 4 days earlier. If you did pre-purchase, you get early access by 4 full days, which is kind of, in some ways, a little unfair, but you know, that's just the nature of it. And I'll be streaming that because I did pre-purchase. So let's just go over the classes real quick. Barbarian. Barbarian was the first class I made. I got them to 25. They were fun. And much like all of like the other like warrior barbarian-esque type classes in Blizzard games, and I think just in games in general, they start slow. They're maybe not as powerful as the other classes, but you know, by the end game, they can be the top damage dealers and the best in class, because they're heavily gear dependent. So once you get to the end, you know, and you're getting the best weapons, the best gear, stuff like that, that's where barbarians and warriors shine. And that's kind of what it seems like for the barbarian class in Diablo 4. Many of the other, you know, YouTube streamers and professional Diablo players, I guess, that's kind of their thoughts too. It seems, you know, not as powerful as some of the other classes. However, it doesn't seem in a bad state such as the druid, which I'll touch on shortly. So yeah, they were fun, and you can make some pretty strong builds. I eventually went to a Thorns build with Rend and Bleeds and stuff like that, and it worked very well. It was fine. But Barbarian could be in a good place at the end. I do think they need some tweaks in the leveling up process. So we'll see. Oh, the other thing too, just before I move on, they're melee, and in the beta at least up to level 25. 25 was the max. One of the biggest problems was the boss enemies and, you know, mini boss kind of character people that you fight, because a lot of them have, you know, AoE effect, and you know, they run away from you. So the barbarian's mobility was a crutch, and also, you know, just if like the enemy put down like a swirl or a void of some kind, a damage dealing debuff, you had to stand in it to hit the boss because you're melee. You know, so that it just seemed like the early bosses in the beta were more ranged focused, and I had way easier times fighting bosses with ranged characters. That being said, Necromancer, geez Louise, I found the most broken build. The bleed, corpse explosion, and blood mist build. It's like a one button build. It's dependent on one affix that you get from a drop. I'm not going to go into it here, but the Necromancer was super strong. At the end of my session with the Necromancer, I did kind of feel like it was broken and pointless. I was pressing one button to do anything. Everything on the screen blew up. I was soloing everything in the game that I couldn't. I did want to kind of try and fight the world boss again, just to see if I could, you know, kill it primarily by myself, which I kind of feel like at this point I can with that build specifically. They're gonna get a nerf. I can't see any other way around it. You know, theory crafters and everything were saying like, yeah, this only works at 25 and low level. But if the game scales and everything like that, I don't see that it wouldn't scale. Like this broken build wouldn't scale also. But Necromancer was super easy to level, super fast, It was a lot of fun. I will say that. And that's not to say you have to pick the broken build that I had. Um, but yeah, they're very good. They're very strong early. So yeah, we'll see where they end up in the full release. But Necromancer was fun. I will say my leveling in the full game is going to be a toss up between whether I main the Necromancer or the Sorcerer. Initially, I was going to do Barbarian, but I just think I don't think that's going to be the right call as my first character. I'll probably do a Barbarian in my second run through. So the first main character is either going to be a Necromancer or a Sorcerer. Going to Sorcerer, again, kind of like the Necro, very fun, very fast. I have a strong build for the Sorcerer too. Not as overpowered as the Necromancer. And I was actually playtesting a little bit last night, and the Sorcerer felt more engaging. You're pressing multiple buttons, and even still, you're not doing too much. I did a double Hydra build with Chain Lightning, and it was really good. But it's still very powerful. And the reason why the Sorcerer is powerful is because the Sorcerer can attack from like 2 screens away. If you see where my cursor is, if I'm like down here on the map, I can precast my Hydras like over here, and then they'll hit characters another screen away. So keeping me far out of danger because the Hydras have long range, they do tons of damage. Anything else, I'm just chain lightning and bouncing off. So very good AoE, super strong build, and also it's very good for bosses and single target because the chain lightning will bounce back and forth between you and the boss if there are no adds to pop around to. And there's buffs that you can get where every bounce off of yourself makes the damage increase against the enemy. So just very strong overall. AoE, single target, good leveling experience as well. Not as fast, I don't think, as the Necromancer. Like if I'm ranking them, which I'll probably make a video for Friday, if I'm ranking them, Necromancer's like S tier, or double S tier. I'd put Sorcerer S tier. Just very good. So either one of these I'm going to be leveling up when the full game releases. Rogue, so I got the Barbarian to 25, the Necro, and the Sorcerer to 25. The Rogue I only got to 14. It was fun, but I hit 14 at the end of the first beta period, and the second beta period came out, and I wanted to play a Necromancer, so I kind of put Rogue on back burner. But Rogue was very fun. In a lot of ways, Rogue is, I would say, a lot better than the Barbarian in terms of melee combat. And the main reason for this is the Rogues have a lot of escape mechanics and better mobility. So whereas, the Barbarian, you're charging in and you're just like, you're hitting enemies, and that's kind of where you're at. The Rogue can like dart in and out, initiate an attack. If there's trouble, bounce right out of it super quickly. And the Rogue also has ranged options. As you can see, there's a bow on the back. If you so choose, you can take some ranged offensive abilities. So, setting them apart from the Barbarian, where the Barbarian kind of just has to stay glued to the target and eat whatever AoE ill effects or debuffs are down. The Rogue can get in, open up combos, get out, and then continue the attack from a distance. So that's a very big advantage that the Rogue has. And realistically, the Rogue's damage, I would even put maybe even a little bit better, if not better, than the Barbarian. The Rogue was fun. I didn't max out the Rogue to 25. Some of my friends did. They loved it. They thought it was very clean, very fast, very technical. I see Rogues being a big PvP build contender and whatnot. And then finally, the Druid. I didn't play the Druid. I had no interest in playing the Druid. It's just not my thing. I think I talked about it in another video. Just like the lore of Druids, even across other game franchises, I'm just not into it. Not to say they're not fun or anything like that. However, this time I will say, from everything I've seen and everything I've encountered, the Druids are the most broken class in terms of needing buffs, needing reworks, damage increases, utility increases, all kinds of stuff. I don't think I've seen a I don't think I've seen very many positive reviews on the druid. The ultimate ability does like no damage. The thunderstorm thing, I've watched some videos on it, and it's pretty shocking. Um, so yeah, if I'm ranking anything, the lowest it'll probably be druid, and I don't think I'll be playing it. My friends played it. They kind of liked it, but again, they struggled. Whereas like these three here, the rogue, the sorcerer, the necromancer, I mean even the barbarian to more of an extent than the druid, you could like slap some skills on and kind of figure things out, and you could do okay. But I don't think that was the case with the druid, especially once you started fighting some of the harder monsters. So druid needs a lot of help. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of it. It was a fun thing. I did most of the stuff that was offered. I got to level 25 with these three over here: the necro, the barb, and the sorcerer. I had great builds for the sorcerer and necromancer, and even the barbarian. At the end, I went back and made a thorns build. So I was crushing the game. I killed the world boss. Got a bunch of loot off of them. The only thing I really did, I did most of the side quests. I found most of the shrines of Lilith. You know, yeah, so it was a lot of fun. The only thing I didn't really do was the main story campaign, but I'm gonna save that for the full retail game when it comes out, because I don't want to like get a tidbit. This was really just me testing out and playing around the characters and abilities and mechanics. There's a lot of stuff I do like, and there's some stuff that I think that needs to be improved. Builds and skills and stuff like that definitely need to be looked at. But I'm not like a full-time reviewer or anything. So just my initial thoughts were it was fun. It was absolutely a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the full retail release. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and what you're going to be maining, and what you're looking forward to, or some things that you may be worried about. And until next time, I will see you on the next video. Take care.